morning. Thank you, Liz. So Liz says, my name is Bobby Jones. I'm the CMO of Peace First. And we're a nonprofit, and our work is helping young people compassionately solve injustices around the world. Now, before I was at Peace First, I worked on a marketing agency. And so my work was really helping brands effectively communicate and understand young people and to market and advertise to them effectively. Now, the idea of, on one hand, speaking to young people as concerned citizens who want to change the world, and on the other hand, talking to young people as consumers who are just constantly looking for the latest and greatest in product, can seem like two completely different worlds in terms of marketing. But over the past couple of years, what we've seen is that these two things are actually coming together in very exciting ways. And one of the things that we saw over the past few years and looking at why these shifts were happening is that there was three kind of convergent shifts. One was that we had a generation of young people who were becoming increasingly conscious of what was happening in the world and wanted to do something about it. But then we also had this other fascinating shift where brands who wanted to effectively reach these young people were realizing that if they wanted to be relevant to them, they needed to care about what they cared about in the world. Not just as consumers, but also as citizens. And then we also saw this other big shift where the biggest and most popular influencers in pop culture and celebrities were also recognizing and embracing the role that they had in using their talents and creativity for a greater good. And so we were curious about why this shift was happening. Like, why was this going on? Who were the people that were driving it? And third and most importantly, what can we learn from them that can help so many people who are trying to figure out how to do more good in the world through their day jobs? And so my co-author and I, Afdel Aziz and I, we went on this 3-year journey of really driven by curiosity and talking with people and learning about what was happening and why it's happening. And it all culminated in this book, Good is the New Cool, which came out in October. And when it came out, it really struck a chord with so many people that were in marketing and media. We would get texts and we would get social media posts and people were sharing the books and they were buying it for their friends. And it was really because I think it was really touching into this thing, this crisis that was happening in our industry, which we're calling the crisis of meaningfulness in marketing. And so I want to draw your attention to this study that Adobe did. I find really interesting. And no matter what work you do, you don't want to be on this list. This is the list of the least 4 valuable professions to society, right? And so, yes, marketing and advertising is at the top of that list, right? But that wasn't even the thing that really stood out to me. So in the yellow are marketers. So they actually asked marketers, what do you think are the least valuable professions to society? And 35% of marketers said, what I do, basically. And so we're dealing with an industry where people are going to work every day thinking the work that they do isn't even meaningful. And so it's this really interesting thing. We were talking with people, that were in this industry, and we talked to this one gentleman by the name of Jeff Benjamin, who is this amazing creative. He's done award-winning work in the digital space, in the creative space. He's won Cannes Lions. He's been voted as one of the marketers and best campaigns of the decade. And he was telling this story about he was sitting at home, he was watching this movie, Deep Impact. I'm not sure how many of you saw it. It's about this movie about this asteroid that hits the Earth and destroys the Earth. And there's a point in the movie in which the people that are survivors create this space in the mountain in which they bring the best of humanity into the mountain because they're going to rebuild this planet. They're going to rebuild society. So they bring in the doctors, and they bring in the engineers, and they bring in the scientists. And Jeff is looking at this, and he's saying, advertisers aren't getting in that mountain. There's no advertisers coming in this mountain. He's like, I'm not getting in that mountain. I don't care how many awards I win, I'm not getting in that mountain. And so Jeff Benjamin, he asked this question for himself and for others is, how do we do work that gets us into the mountain? And so we asked the same question is, what is the work, who are the people that are doing the amazing work and the interesting work that is doing the greater good in the world that is actually enhancing humanity? And so we went and we looked at who were the people that were creating these new models. And so we traveled the country and we went through our networks and we went through friends and was like, who are the people that are doing great work that's really innovative and creative, but is also impacting the greater good? And so we wound up talking to over 20 people, amazing people, two of which I'll point out specifically because I met through Frank. Jennifer Willick from Whole World Water and Amen, who was part of the Troublemaker movement, who was here speaking last year. And we talked to them because we were interested in how they have found their way. And what was interesting is that none of them really had the exact same story. They were all doing work. Some of them were working at large corporations such as Citibank. Some of them were working at small nonprofits like Do Something. And they were working at entrepreneurial shop. And some were, artists such as Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber. And others were just everyday people just trying to figure out how to do more good in the world. But the things that they had in common, there were 7 principles that they all shared that they taught us. The first is the importance of knowing your purpose. The second, understanding how to find your allies. The third is the importance of thinking citizens, not consumers. 4, the importance of leading with the cool. 5, don't advertise, solve problems. 6, people are the new media. 7, back up the promise with the proof. And we'll go through each of these. Purpose. So often when we talk to them, the thing that stood out was a clear sense of purpose in terms of the change they want to create in the world and the role that they thought that they can play in it. And that clarity of purpose really drove everything that they did from a creative standpoint to an executional standpoint. Now, for those of us that in some ways been working in brand marketing or consumer marketing, you taught about these 4 Ps, which is packaging and pricing and positioning and placement. But increasingly, purpose is the 5th P of marketing. And if you're not marketing with purpose, you're increasingly going to become irrelevant. The next thing is, as you clear about your purpose, being able to find your allies. And this is where Frank is such an amazing space, because whether you're from the worlds of nonprofit or academia, or whether you're a student, or whether you're on the brand side, or any of these other different facets, we can all find common purpose that we want to solve. We can bring our superpowers from different areas and come together. And so each of the people that we talked to, they found ways to find their allies in the work that they wanted to do, and were able to leverage those relationships to do work they were never able to do alone. Third, they were able to think citizens, not consumers. And this has probably been the biggest shift that has happened in the marketplace, is that people have declared that they do not want to be marketed to as consumers anymore. They want to be recognized as citizens. They want to be recognized as people who care about the earth, who want to care about their communities, who care about justice, who care about the relationships that people have in their world. And if you want to connect with them effectively, you must speak to them through that lens. And you must have products that align to those values. But even if you have products and messaging that aligns to those values, you have to lead with the cool. Lead with the cool and bake in the good. I repeat, lead with the cool, bake in the good. The most effective campaigns and the people who have been doing this really effectively have found ways to use the tools of popular culture, great design, powerful imagery, celebrities, influencers. They make beautiful products, they make well-designed products, they make sexy products, they have spokespeople who grab your attention and capture your imagination. And then once they have it, they infuse the goodness in a message that really resonates in helping to change the world. Next, don't advertise, solve problems. The brands that are not solving problems that matter to us as citizens or matter to us as consumers will cease to exist, period. And we see it every day. And brands should solve problems from the everyday to the epic, from our everyday consumer needs to the biggest problems that we face as a global society. Brands are increasingly recognizing not only the opportunity that they have to use their enormous resources and talent and scale and breadth and dollars to impact change, but the responsibility that they have to do it. And when you do it effectively, when you're solving problems in the world that people care about and you solve problems in their lives, you earn the holy grail in communications, which is advocacy. People talking on your behalf and taking your message and delivering it for you. People are the new media. And what people have been focused on that are really driving this shift are creating products and efforts and communications and advertising and campaigns that really help people to have something to talk about. You can no longer buy your way into the conversation. You have to earn it. And if you want to earn it, you have to find ways of being meaningful. And last but certainly not least, back up the promise with the proof. We live in an age of transparency. We live in an age right now where you can find out what anybody is doing at any time, particularly from a brand and corporate standpoint. And there is a constant hunt for hypocrisy right now. People wake up looking for hypocrisy. You said this, but I saw it back in '89 that you said, and they will call you out. So whatever you say, you have to back up the promise with the proof. You have to walk the talk, and you have to be able to show that the things that you were doing are consistent with the change that you want to create in the world. And so I leave you with this last note. For those as communications and nonprofits, and whether it's nonprofit or for-profit side or any aspect of public interest or self-interest communications, it's up to you, it's up to us. If you care about, for those of us that are in the business of impacting the greater good and actually want to market like we give a damn about the quality of life and the world that we all share, there's never been a better time to do it. We have the celebrities and influencers who are lending their visibility and influence to help shine light on issues. We have the largest corporations in the world wanting to help solve these problems. We have the largest generations of humans in history in terms of Gen Z and millennials that are using their buying power and their advocacy to be a part of this. And we have the most talented group of communicators and marketers that the world is seeing. And so now it's our time to work together to solve these problems, to communicate with passion, communicate with purpose. And if we do that effectively, hopefully, we'll all make it into the mountain. Thank you.